Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakthrough Moment podcast. I'm Zach Dean with special guest Darren Fryer. Bro, are you there?
Yes, sir. Here I am. Good to see you, Zach.
Good to see you too, man. It's been a very long time. I'm over the pond here in San Diego, Tijuana area. You're over in Hawaii. So we're not far away from each other. Look forward to seeing you soon. But I'll do a quick little introduction and let's dive straight into this. We've got some amazing things to share with you at home. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is the Breakthrough Moment podcast where we interview successful entrepreneurs and investors and ask them what's the moment in their career that took them into the next level of success. So as they share their biggest breakthroughs, us at home can have breakthroughs as well. And so without further ado, let me give you a quick introduction and let's dive straight into your breakthrough, man. So for those who don't know Darren, he has been an entrepreneur since he was 20 years old. So he's been an entrepreneur for over 30. He is a college dropout who got into network marketing and got into Enagic or Kangen water and got to 6A3. So he's earned hundreds of thousands of dollars with that opportunity and other network marketing opportunities. And one of the really cool things about his journey is that he loves surfing, he loves skimboarding, and he loves ocean conservation. So he has a company, he's the founder of Protect, and this is all around beach, reef conservation, and he turns trash into treasure. So trash into art or trash into concrete to help the building and construction industry, which is super interesting as well. I'd love to hear about that. And lastly, there's this new wave. There's a revolution happening with the technology that you've got your hands on. It's already $1 billion company. It's a PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequency machine, which is all around helping heal the body, optimize the body, reduce pain. So if you're a biohacker, if you're into performance, if you're into just optimizing or slowing down the aging process, we're going to be sharing a really cool hack with you guys as well. Without further ado, Darren, what has been your biggest breakthrough moment throughout your career thus far?
Awesome. I appreciate you having me on and getting right into it. I mean, my biggest breakthrough moment, it was probably that decision, to drop out of college and to go all in on my passion, on myself, on my belief that I could do something on my own and not just follow the norm. That classic 9 to 5, graduate, do what everyone else is doing. I mean, only dead fish flow downstream, as I've learned from my mentors. And, that was probably my biggest breakthrough moment. It was very scary. It was very daunting, coming out as a broke college student. A year from graduating, I just saw the opportunity to be able to commit to this type of business model, to work online, to learn from those who had the results I wanted, other guys who had dropped out of college, that were making six figures and who are around my age. It was that moment of, you can do whatever you put your mind to. If somebody has the results you want, you just have to do what they do, say what they say, and eventually you'll get what they get. And that opened my mind to the idea that I didn't have to just do what everyone else did. I didn't just have to go to college, go to get an internship, get a 9 to 5 job, maybe retire when I'm 50, 60 years old. I knew there would be a different version of life, especially with the internet and social media and all that. So, making that leap of faith into myself, my parents were not happy. Lots of people were not happy with that decision, but I just went all in and invested into myself, knowing that self-education can make you a fortune. I did not ever stop learning just because I dropped out of college. I honestly feel like I actually started learning more the second I dropped out of college, like learning from people who had the results I wanted, who had the lifestyle I wanted. When I realized that I was learning from these college professors and I wouldn't want to trade lives with them. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're incredible humans, but financially, in terms of the freedom and the amount of impact they've made, I wanted to be able to learn from those who had the exact results that I wanted in life. And, making that leap of faith, having it all work out, seeing how much my journey, my breakthrough moment, dropping out of college, seeing success in the industry had allowed other people to do it. It opened up the possibilities for my friends, my network, my audience to then do the same thing. I mean, it was a very rewarding moment to look back on, but, honestly, I feel like my biggest breakthrough is yet to come. I've been in those companies. They're amazing companies, but not necessarily at the right timing. And now with this new PEMF device that just came from the Asian markets, feel like we have the right company and the right product and the right timing. The biggest breakthrough is yet to come, just in the next 6 to 12 months. Hold on. I don't hear the audio, or I don't hear you. Oh, there we go.
I was muted. I was muted.
Okay, I was like, I can hear you
So,
now.
so what you mentioned a lot of there was opportunity, that you had mentors, that you saw life differently. And so what I'm curious to know, Darren, is like who or what was it in your childhood or growing up that allowed you to question the current path, in life? Like, was it your parents? Did you have other mentors growing up? Like, was it books? Like, what was it about your upbringing that helped you challenge the current structure of career and job and progression?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say it was like my upbringing. Like I grew up in the normal world of like my parents were working like 9 to 5. I mean, my mom owned a business. It was a small gift shop. So she basically owned a job. So it wasn't that much different than working a job is owning a job. But it was just because I was so tunnel visioned on that, like get the degree, get the job, work the 9 to 5, 40 plan. Literally was just like seeing other like social media. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have had this open mind and perspective shift, like because of the internet, because of social media. I mean, I remember I got Instagram as soon as Instagram came out, like right before I went to college for my first year. So I was part of that generation where we were literally the first ones with Instagram. There wasn't influencer marketing, there wasn't online marketing. None of that existed in 2010. So because of that, I was able to get that exposure, see what kids at other colleges were doing, specifically down in Arizona State. There was my good friend Alex Morton, who's a legend in the industry, and he was just getting started at the time, some college kid making 5, 10,000 a month. And as a broke college kid, I thought that was like, you're wealthy, it's like 5,000 a month. Like that's a lot of money for a broke college student. And I just saw other kids doing it in other schools. And that was literally what opened me up. Cause if it wasn't for social media and the internet, being able to see the world from a different perspective, see other people's realities, I would have been on that normal path. I mean, being in Hawaii, you're on an island. It's a very small island. You don't see a lot. A lot of people work in the hotels, work at the restaurants. They work in the tourism industry. So that's what I grew up in, is like my dad worked at a resort. My mom would gift shop. Everything was tourism or hotel hospitality based. So that's what everyone I knew growing up did. And that's what I knew I didn't want to do. So like I can give them that. Like it made me understand clearly what life I didn't want to leave. So then I was just looking for other options, and I started to see them once the internet and social media became more prevalent. And then through there, I saw other people doing it, and I knew that if they could do it, so could I. And I could probably do it better if I could learn from their mistakes. And that's pretty much what ended up happening.
That right there is a growth mindset. That's super cool. I get to interview a lot of great entrepreneurs, and it's really, it just comes back to how we see the world. And
Yeah.
it's life is a mental projection, and we can learn how to see the world in a different way. And that's why this is all around teaching the next generation or current entrepreneurs how to think differently, because we can definitely create our own path in a very short period of time when we know the
Yeah.
right tool and
Perspective is reality. Yeah, it was like at that time I went from learning from my college professors to, people like Alex Morton, but also they put me on to Bob Proctor and Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and like all the greats and all the OGs, like learning all the personal development, self-development, Tony Robbins, and that shit really changed my life. And yeah, I was able to actually apply those teachings to my day-to-day life. And, that was really where I realized that self-education can truly make you a fortune. And you don't have to be in school to be learning. Like life is a journey and we should always be learning. And I really started learning the most once I dropped out of college and started to choose what I wanted to learn.
yeah. So what I'm really curious about, and what advice would you have for, say, someone who's maybe in college or in a job, and they're seeing these people on social media, or they're starting to realize, oh my gosh, I want to carve my own way. I want to be able to find my own path and build that. What advice do you have for people starting at that level?
Yeah. Don't wait, don't hesitate. A lot of it is, I learned you work full time at your job, part time on your fortune. If you don't ever start working part time on your fortune, then you'll never have one. For me, yeah, I dropped out, but I didn't just join the business and drop out. I actually sacrificed a lot of my free time. I was still a full-time college student when I got involved in the network marketing industry. I just had to sell my Xbox. I was like, I ain't playing video games. I ain't watching Netflix. I had no money or no job. So I sold my Xbox and Call of Duty and everything to my roommates. And I put that money into my first business, which it was like a nutritional energy drink at the time. So I sacrificed and I made it work part-time while I was still going to school. I stopped partying. I stopped playing video games. I had to give up to go up. And I made it work. Like I knew that it was something that whether I couldn't go full time, I couldn't go all in, like I'm going to scrape together the money. I'm going to sacrifice unhealthy, unproductive habits to make the time. And while I'm going through midterms, while I'm going through finals and trying to stay on top of my grades, keep my parents happy, every spare moment I was doing personal development. I was tuning into calls. I was learning how to prospect. I was grinding. And 6 to 12 months into that process, I was making 2, 3 thousand a month while I was still a full-time college student. And I realized that if I could go all in, I could really grow this to a 6-figure income, which is what ended up happening. And that's when I decided to commit to dropping out. But it wasn't just like initially, I dropped out. Like I went part-time into this. I made it work. I made the time. I found the money to get started. And then as the results started to grow, I was in a position where I can commit and go all in and go full time. And, that's what I would recommend for any of you. If you work full time at your job, make sure you're working part time on yourself, part time on your fortune, part time on your own passion or business. Otherwise, it'll never exist for you, and you don't want to just work that job for the rest of your life. It's a means to an end, and it can give you that stability so you can work part time on whether it's figuring it out or whether it's learning how to get it off the ground, full time at whatever you're doing. But if you really want to make something big happen, there's no excuses, work part-time on that dream and that dream will become a reality eventually and you'll be doing it full time.
So good. What you're doing as well is this protect movement or charity or philanthropic venture. I think a lot of us have that type of spark of like, oh, if I had all the money in the world, I'd love to give back here or sponsor this person or create this and create that. But you've actually gone out to do that, which is, I'd say, a breakthrough in itself. So can you take us into how that process or how you actually launched Protect and why?
Yeah, so it was something that I launched about 5 or 6 years ago. I had moved back to Hawaii. I was traveling the world. I was with Zach out in Manly Beach, Australia, living out there, lived across the US, lived in Costa Rica, Thailand, and eventually moved back to Maui around 2017 after being away for several years. And when I came home to Maui, I mean, if you guys haven't been here, it's literally probably one of the most beautiful places on the entire planet. We have endangered humpback whales, endangered sea turtles. I mean, lots of incredible sea life out here. And coming back, going on boats with my friends and seeing the state of the reef, seeing a lot of coral bleaching events, corals that I remember being lively growing up when I was a kid are now complete like graveyards. Seeing fishing line entanglements, seeing all the posts of all the sea turtles getting entangled in fishing lines and, suffocating and dying and, lots of companies trying to rescue. I wanted to find a way to give back to this island. It's just something that when you give without expecting anything in return is one of the greatest feelings on the planet. And the ocean gives so much to us. It literally produces most of the oxygen that we all require to breathe. I wanted to find a way to give back just because it was just something I felt called to do. At the time, I was making really good money. I had a lot of freedom and, I just wanted to find a way to get out there and give back to the ocean and start healing the ocean. And that's what we started doing. We started renting out boats. Actually, we initially started by just rallying up our friends, going to beaches and cleaning up all the beach trash because there's like pollution from commercial fishing. There's literally trash from Japan, from tsunamis that hit Asia, where all that trash and debris ends up cycling through the currents and it ends up on our shorelines. So like the beaches will have giant commercial fishing nets. There'll be like crab pots literally from Japan that have drifted all the way across the ocean. So like there are beaches out here where the wind really blows onto the shoreline where there's trash from literally all around the Pacific Ocean that hits our shoreline. So we started with just our friends getting out there, cleaning up the trash. And then it evolved. And then we started renting out boats, getting scuba certified volunteers, and we started doing reef cleanups, which was just like the most badass operation. I felt like a wannabe Navy SEAL, but we're dropping these scuba divers on these reefs that are 30 to 100 feet deep. And they're down there with like scissors and knives and they're cutting all the fishing line. It's literally like a spider web of fishing line. Like even humans can fucking get caught in it and drown and die. Like it's dangerous. Like fishing line is strong, especially when it's all entangled amongst the reef. It's like a a killer spider web that dolphins and turtles and whales, baby humpback whales, who come here and get birth. Yeah, it's very something that we wanted to prevent happening. So we really dove into those underwater reef cleanups, which were just incredible operations. Scuba certified volunteers, literally diving underwater, collecting all the leads, fishing lines, hooks. They'd have to put them into a milk crate. They'd have a lifting bag, which was something that they'd have to put air from their tank into the bag to like lift it all the way up to the surface, because there'd be like 50 to 100 little dive weights. So these milk carton things would literally be like 100 pounds of garbage that we're collecting off the ocean, fill up the airlifting bags, floats it to the surface, bring it to the boats. We were turning it into art, resin art like what you see above, canvas art, guys would turn it into. And, it was a pretty cool operation. And then we were doing so much, collecting so much trash, we realized, where is this trash really going? Like, there's too much trash for us to turn it all into treasure, to turn it all into art. And that's when, it's evolved to where we found a company called CRDC Global that's based in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a very sustainable, probably the most sustainable ocean, like forest conservation country in the world. And they had this technology that converts plastic waste into a concrete additive for cement and construction, where that plastic waste goes into construction of homes, goes into the asphalt for their highways, and stores it, locks it away forever. So that's something we're in the process of helping bring and introduce to Hawaii. So our cleanups can kind of have that full circle moment where the trash we collect off the beaches and reefs go into the construction and development of our roads and our hotels and our buildings. And, it basically prevents it from ever getting back into the landfill, ever getting back into the ocean again. And it's something that can be scalable worldwide too. So yeah, we're really excited for what's to come with that. Lots of red tape and politics involved in big projects like this, but we've been going through the steps, and I'm confident things are going to start really moving in the next year or two.
That's exciting. That's so good. That's so good. So let's change gears for a second. Let's talk about PEMF. Take us on your journey, understanding. When I first met you in Sydney with the Kangan crew, we did the water demos and all the things. Just your passion for health and wellness, your like desire for philanthropic ventures to really make an impact, really showed through for me. I could really feel it. And I liked how you brought in a lot of the science as well as the practicalities with, this is a really amazing solution for such a big problem. And I'd
Yeah.
love you to bring that kind of that awareness from the beginning. Like, how did Darren learn about health and wellness? Why did he
Yeah.
start to value it as a kid? Did you have some health challenges growing up? Why do you value health and wellness so much? And take us on the journey of how you've been exposed to these amazing technologies and mentors like that one that you told me about, which we might need to keep
Yeah.
hush. I'd love to just take us on that journey.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up very healthy. I was always athletic. I was like top soccer player in Hawaii, really good golfer, like state champion golfer, state champion soccer player. So I was a very athletic kid growing up. I have an Asian mom that's full Korean, so she loves cooking and, definitely kept me away from fast food. And I was eating lots of home cooked meals, was not eating plain white rice like most of Hawaii. My mom would make black rice with all types of mung beans and black beans. And, like she would go above and beyond. And then, of course, I go to college, and the typical college diet, you're eating cereal for dinner and mac and cheese and pizza and occasionally getting a salad from the cafe. But it's really just drinking your calories and eating a bunch of garbage processed food. So in college, I was still athletic, snowboarding, playing soccer in college, but, I was eating a lot unhealthier. I got into business. I dropped out of college, and I was just so focused on business and making money. I literally was traveling, doing events, getting hotels, traveling around the country every month, every week in a different state. So I was really just didn't really think about my health for like that 4 or 5 year period when I was really just grinding on business. I was partying, drinking, eating whatever was at the airport, whatever was at the hotel. Was really starting to see my health go away for the first time in my life because I was so focused on money. And that's when I met one of my mentors. At the time, it wasn't even my main mentor, but it was just, my friends who were making more money than me that were healthy and wealthy. They were going to Tony Robbins events and learning from Anthony Robbins about like alkaline foods, drinking alkaline water, like, having energy, like being healthy so you can project that energy into your business. And it really started to make it click for me. I was sacrificing my health because I was just so like obsessed with the business I was doing. That was my number one priority. But then it was just a wake up call. It's like you can't do business if you're not healthy. Like without health, it's the foundation of everything you do, the things you love, the things you want to give back, the things you want to do to build your business, to create your legacy. Health is literally the most important foundation, and you don't realize what you have until it's gone. So at that point, I remember looking in the mirror one morning and I was the heaviest I ever been. I remember like I was always like a size 28 waist and I was wearing like size 34 is like the same size my dad like wears. And I was only like 21 years old at the time, 22. And I was like, wow, I'm the same waist size as my dad, which he's not like a big heavy dude. Like my dad was always pretty in shape, but still like that was a wake up call for me. Like we were the same waist size and I just was not feeling good. So I was like, okay, at this time, I need to slow down and find balance. So I stopped just like living out of my suitcase in hotels and decided to get a spot in Orange County in Irvine, California. It was right next to the John Wayne Airport, so I can walk over to the airport, hop on flights, come home, have a routine, cook my own food. I started making green smoothies because Joe Rogan was talking about making green and kale smoothies at the time. Back then was like a hot thing. So I started making like kale smoothies and green smoothies, cooking our own home cooked meals, working out at the Equinox gym where I ran into like Kobe Bryant and a couple big people at that gym in Irvine. But it was all really healthy people. Like that gym's probably one of the most expensive gyms in the country. That's actually where I got introduced to Kangen water. Like everyone in that gym was drinking Kangen water. We were going to Whole Foods. We were making green smoothies. Like that was kind of what I was still grinding on my business, but I learned how to find that balance where I would make time to go to the gym. I would make time to go to Whole Foods, buy organic whole food produce and ingredients and grass-fed meat, making green smoothies, cooking meals, and just stop eating all this garbage and fried food and fast food and all that stuff. And I really started feeling young again. I literally feel like I was 10 years older than I was. And once I started finding that balance, I was able to get into the best shape of my life and get back to my biological age in terms of how I felt. And yeah, that's kind of when I became obsessed with health. I realized like the energy I get from my food and my exercise and my vitality, is the energy that I could transfer into my business and into this presentations and into everything I do, better mental clarity, better overall energy and vitality. So now I became obsessed with the space, just wanted to learn how to optimize better. And then it just led me into just superfoods, led me into ice baths, led me into saunas, into grounding. I started going on hikes barefoot out here in Hawaii, hiking through the rainforest without shoes on. And yeah, I just became obsessed with the concept of biohacking and staying young and staying active. And, I'm a competitive, I'd say semi-pro. I got to get back into the competition space, skimboarder, and it's a very dangerous sport. I mean, we're literally out there in some of the most dangerous waves on the planet that break right on the dry sand. So, I have to stay on top of myself if I want to continue to follow my passion of skimboarding. So, yeah, that's kind of led us to where we are today, always open-minded to natural, holistic ways to optimize and evolve my health and vitality. And that kind of led to PEMF recently. It's something I've heard of. I've never really tried too much and felt anything, but once I tried this new device that literally just came from Asia, it's a game changer. And this is honestly my new favorite part of my daily regimen of my biohacking routine. So excited to be able to introduce you guys more to that too.
Super cool. I think one thing I want to share, and I was just seeing if I've screenshotted it. It was a story the other day, but it was literally just talking about, I think there's more and more awareness right now, more than ever, of the importance of the cellular voltage inside of our body, that health is all around mitochondrial health. And so one of my mentors, Jack Cruz, he says that we have two DNAs. One DNA is the DNA that we all know about, the double helix, but we also have a mitochondrial DNA.
Yeah.
And it's that DNA that's impacted by blue light or technology, radiation, EMFs, the earpods, not being grounded, and et cetera, as well as the lack of nutrition and not exercising and stuff like that, which we know about. But whether it's Nikola Tesla talking about energy, frequency, and vibration being the secrets of our universe, or whether it's just like people feeling better on holiday because they're outside in the sun and they're not stressed with a job and they're not in an air-conditioned office.
Yeah.
These things are noticeable when you start to just like for me, when it comes to health, when I strip back all the stuff and I just rebuild, what is the most important thing? Well, for me, my sleep. Okay, I'm waking up. If I don't have a good sleep, the rest of my day's out. Getting the sunrise, grounding, good water, good food, good movement, not being around a lot of technology, these things just start to, like, I feel it now more than ever, right? 35,
Yeah.
I'm more aware. And so that's what I like about PEMF and this device is that we can do our normal life and we don't need to change it that much, whether it's the little Healy device that I have,
Yeah.
whether
I got one of those too.
Healy, yeah, or my blue blockers, or the EMF meter, and now the PEMF thing that you can put your feet on. These are things that allow us to live in this modern world, which is so unhealthy, but we can now start to thrive in a not so healthy environment. So yeah, take us on, just like for everyone at home, what is PEMF and like how does
Yeah, so PEMF stands for pulsed electromagnetic frequency. As Zach was saying, we're all familiar with grounding, walking barefoot on the earth, or when someone says go hug a tree, that's just connecting to the frequency of the planet. There are literally tens of millions of lightning bolts and lightning strikes happening all around the planet every single day. This is an electrical planet. Its geomagnetic energy is affecting every single living being and even non-living being on the planet. And we have a base frequency. They actually found this out in NASA in the 70s. It was a doctor by the name of Dr. Schumann. Okay, he studied and realized that the Earth has a specific frequency it likes to resonate at, which is now called the Schumann resonance because Dr. Schumann discovered it. And the reason that NASA had to discover this was because they were doing space travel and they were sending their astronauts up to space away from Earth's geomagnetic field. In astronaut and space travel, you got to cover every variable you can. One of the most controllable ones being the health of the astronauts, which are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, how much they invest into these guys and their equipment and their training. So these astronauts are drinking the best water on the planet. They're breathing the best air. They're eating the best nutrition. They're even exercising. You've all seen videos of the astronauts like exercising and trying to work out in space. But, their bones degenerate. Their bones actually were decaying and getting more brittle. They're losing bone density. Their muscles were atrophying. They couldn't figure out, like, even though they were doing everything they thought possible to keep these astronauts healthy, when they would go into zero gravity, their bodies would start falling apart, their muscles, their bones, everything. And they couldn't figure out why. And that's why they hired Dr. Schumann. And he realized that it was because they're far away from that Schumann resonance, the frequency of the planet, which charges their cells, the ATP in the mitochondria, all of that. So they invented the PEMF machines back in the 70s. It's actually FDA approved in the US because NASA's been using it for decades. And they pump those machines in the space shuttles for the astronauts to help combat them being farther away from Earth's natural frequencies. So they basically put these PMF machines on steroids, pumped them in the spaceships to help keep the astronauts healthy. You guys are probably familiar, the USS space station, there were actually astronauts that were stuck up there. Remember, I think it was a few years ago, they were stuck up there for 9 months and Elon Musk had to send a SpaceX rocket to rescue those astronauts. So when they got back to Earth, they did not come running off of that spaceship. They were carried off of that spaceship on stretchers, on wheelchairs. Like, they were up there and they weren't supposed to be up there as long as they were. They were stuck up there. So they didn't have enough power to run the PEMF machines for that entire time. So I'm sure for half of that trip, they had PEMF keeping them healthy, but then they were trapped in it and they probably had to prioritize that power for light and oxygen and other things. So they turned off their PEMF machines and those astronauts' bodies decayed. Their bones broke down, their muscles atrophied, and, they got rescued, but they could not walk off that spaceship on their own if they wanted to. They had to get carted off. And that was because they were up in zero gravity for months without any PEMF. So if that works for astronauts in zero gravity, imagine what it could do for the everyday person. So this machine basically is like grounding on steroids. It's like, I would say, the equivalent of going out and standing barefoot on the grass for like 20 hours, is what 20 minutes on this machine will do, because this is actually a company that has the patent from NASA to create the first household product with this technology. So the technology's been around. If any of you guys, you don't have to take my word for it. Look it up on Grok. Look it up on ChatGPT. There are endless published studies on PubMed, on PEMF, on terahertz. These ranges of frequencies are proven to regenerate bone density, to heal, and to improve circulation, blood flow, decrease inflammation throughout your whole entire body. This has been studied and documented for literally half a century. The machines were just expensive. They were medical equipment. They were the size of entire rooms. only astronauts could afford it, or maybe like Messi and Ronaldo and high level athletes would probably use them. And the average person could maybe access it at a wellness clinic. But from what I've learned, it would cost literally $1,000+ for like a 20-minute session, if not more, like thousand to tens of thousands of dollars just to come and use these machines. So it was always kind of reserved more for people extremely wealthy or astronauts. There was never really like a powerful product that was affordable for everyone to use. And that's kind of where this company decided to change that game. You know, as Zach was saying, we live in a world where there's so many unhealthy variables in our lives that didn't exist 20 to 50 years ago. Well, we got to combat that and balance that out by having technology wellness products that can balance out all the unhealthy stuff that we've never been exposed to with healthy stuff we've never been exposed to that overpowers it. And as he was saying, nowadays a lot of people don't have the luxury of standing barefoot on the ground. We're in shoes that have rubber that prevents that grounding energy to get to our body, or we're just inside all day. And when we are outside, most likely have shoes on. If not, you're probably walking on a bunch of GMO pesticides and Roundup, is like what's in a lot of lawns and grass. So like I don't even really like walking barefoot unless I'm at the beach or something, but I don't trust lawns and grass because of the pesticides and toxins in it. Yeah, you're grounding, but you're also getting Monsanto, Syngenta, all types of toxic pesticides in your skin. So that's something that I'm aware of too that people don't think about. But yeah, this company has brought PEMF to the everyday person. It's the most powerful, non-invasive, natural way to manage pain, to manage recovery, to optimize athletic performance. The company started in 2022 out of Singapore. They have research and development offices in Sweden and Germany, manufacturing in Japan and Hong Kong. And they created this product in 2022. It was only open in Asia, and they sold over they did over $1 billion in sales across Asia. And literally this summer, they just opened up America, Hawaii, and the rest of the world. So we're excited to be some of the first ones with this, to introduce it, educate people, and even let them try it. And yeah, just to kind of show you guys what it looks like, this is the bad boy in the team, the P90 Plus, their top of the line unit. You basically just plug it into the wall, put your bare feet on the machine. You can turn the power on. There's different levels. All it takes is a 20-minute session. You feel the energy immediately as you turn it on. It goes through every cell in your body, balances your meridians, supercharges your cells, your circulation, decreases inflammation. I mean, it is incredible. Like the testimonies from this product are literally like life-changing. Like it's so crazy. So, and there's other attachments, like there's attachments for your face, there's attachments for spot treatment and electrical muscle stimulation for certain areas you want to target. But this overall machine, you do it while you're eating dinner, while you're watching Netflix, while you're on your computer. I mean, it's so convenient. Like literally anybody can do this, and it makes such a big difference. Just 20 minutes a day. You can do it up to twice a day. So I usually do it in the morning and at night. And yeah, it's like I'm sleeping better than ever. I've been able to completely cut out any form of caffeine. I get energy from this in the morning. That wakes me up, and I don't need a coffee or an energy drink. I literally just do this for 20 minutes and I'm wide awake. My whole body's awake. It primes you before working out, before anything athletic. Doing this will warm up your entire body and help prevent any type of injury. And then the recovery from it, the sleep is insane. The recovery is insane. I mean, overall, it can help pretty much anyone and everyone, no matter what they're dealing with, they're looking for.
Wow, what doesn't it do? This is crazy. I love the energy. I love your passion. I can tell you just really want people to try this out, right? Is there some kind of money back guarantee thing? Like if someone doesn't like it, is it like a
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure like the people who are distributing these, I mean, I told my friend, like, I'm so confident in it, I'll send him a machine, pay for it myself. And if he doesn't like it, he could send it back. If he likes it, he could send me the money. I got to double check. I'm kind of new. I don't think there's like a money back guarantee, at least yet. We just opened in America. And that's something I think the American market really likes, that kind of satisfaction or that type of guarantee. But yeah, I mean, once you guys try it, it's literally without a doubt, you feel it within your first few minutes on the machine, first 20 minutes session. It's not something that you can understand until you've tried it, and Yeah, we're very confident. Like when people try this machine, they know that it works. It's not a placebo. It's literally not something people are like making up these results. It's just that powerful. This technology is that next level. It's never been this powerful, this portable, this affordable. You know, these machines are about $1,000, 1,500. You know, I have friends who go to like places to get PMF when they're healing their broken bones, and they got to pay hundreds of dollars per session, and they have to do dozens of sessions. So they're spending thousands of dollars just to even use a machine, not even to have your own in your house that you can have for the rest of your life, use every day, let your family use it, your friends use it, anyone in pain that's complaining about their pain use it. So, you know, this is definitely an incredible price point. It's honestly incredibly underpriced for what this machine does, which is why it can be hard to believe. But yeah, you guys just got to do your research. We have the actual patents that prove the machine's produce PEMF. And the company has about 800 patents on their technology. They have all the certifications to be safe and recognized as the product can be sold globally all around the world. You know, they're doing everything the right way. So that's why we're excited to help bring this to the market, introduce it to people, and, you know, kind of be a part of that electronic wellness industry, which is a completely new area in health and wellness that it's honestly going to hit the market faster than any health trend I've ever seen.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And do they have other devices? I think you said that there's like an eye mask or something like this. What does that do?
Yeah, so they have other devices. The P90 Plus is definitely the main, most important full body one, but this is one actually we just got yesterday. It's called the G1. This is considered one of the first low wave PEMF devices for brain health ever created. So the machine has PEMF coming out. You put it on your head, put it over your eyes. There's actually perforation, so I could still see out of it. I could see Zach and still talk and do things. And then the machine, it produces the slow wave PEMF that targets eye health and brain health. It also does like heat and vibration and kneading and hard compress. So it also does like an incredible eye massage. So lots of incredible testimonies with people who have eye issues who were about to have their eyeballs removed because their eyes are blistering, and they started using this machine, and they literally like didn't have to get their eyeball removed from surgery, and like incredible things like that target. So using both together was my first time last night. I had the goggles on and I have my feet on the P90 Plus. And I'm just lying back on my couch and I'm like, this is next level. Like this is amazing.
That that right there, right? When you think about the entrepreneurs out here, the business owners, you know, the people out there who are real, or even just professionals listening to this, who are, you guys are high achievers. You're really trying to squeeze the lemon and maximize life and really, really go for it in life. And I love that. That is so important. And we also need to look after ourselves. Self care is sexy, even though men
Yeah.
like, I don't need a self care. I have the best, most effective days when I sleep well and I get a massage once a week, a deep tissue massage. And I'm just like, my body is just balanced and I can bring more to my calls. I can bring more to my,
Yeah.
my work and everything. So what you're saying right now is like, it's adding to that health and wellness routine where you're already doing life, right? You have your morning coffee and put your feet on this thing. Or before you go to bed, put the eye mask on, like, or
Yeah.
put them together and then put the essential oils and the red light and the, you know, extra supplements or whatever you do. It's so great. It's like
Yeah.
the, you know, traveling now as well for a year and a half. I don't have all my gadgets that I used to have.
Yeah.
Some of my stuff is in the Philippines, and it's really nice, like rebuilding my toolkit of great health and wellness hacks that, you know, really make a difference. And these things obviously make a difference. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm excited to get it. How can people get in touch with you? I think we're gonna have a link around here. But just in general, how can people reach out to you, Darren?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very active. You guys could just reach out to me on my Instagram, on my Facebook, reach out to Zach at my phone number directly, but definitely happy to help educate you, answer any questions you have about these devices, about this technology. If you want to get one, I'll walk you through the process step by step. We'll try to find someone nearby you that has a machine if you want to try it, which might be difficult because there's only a few thousand in the entire country right now. So you'll either have to wait or just pull the trigger, which, you know, either option works for us. But yeah, this is going to hit the market by storm. There's lots of gyms, lots of wellness centers actually like buying dozens of these machines and having people come into their studio, chiropractors having people use this device before they work on their body. And they literally, the doctors and chiropractors, like the bodies are so much more responsive to the work that they do, you know, so it's pretty cool. And people are legit willing to pay $100 to $200 just to use one of these machines for 20 minutes when you could literally just buy one for $1,000 and have it for the rest of your life. But that's how you know it works. Like there's literally lines of people out the door from some of these wellness centers in Oahu and Big Island, literally in line to pay $100 to stand on them, or not even stand, you just sit and put your feet on it for 20 minutes. Like that's how well it works. People are willing to spend that much money for a 20-minute session. And of course, it makes the most sense financially just to buy it. And then there is the business that comes with it free, where if you guys do want to help spread the word, share it with others, like, we could help you get your money back on your machine and also make profits, because their advertisement budget goes to word of mouth for us sharing the product. So it's also a very lucrative business, especially with the timing of being the first one to have it in your state, in your country, in your whole entire region. Just got to introduce it, let people try it, and they're going to be mind blown just as you will be once you do your first time.
Super exciting stuff. Somewhere around this video, we'll have a link, and we can also help you guys get in touch with Darren as well. So find the link and we can hook you guys up. Lastly, my final question is, what is a challenge that you want the listeners to take home today? A challenge for today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year. Like if you could challenge them to really step outside their comfort zone or try something new, what would that challenge be?
Yeah, I mean, it's small improvements compounded on a daily basis make massive achievement. I would just challenge you guys with 2026 coming up, or whatever year's coming up when you watch this podcast. Let's challenge yourself to be 1% better every single day this next year. Just small improvements. You don't have to go crazy and go for PR, but just making those small improvements physically, financially, mentally, whether it's like improvements in your skills and your passion, improvements in your business, improvements with your work, improvement with your health, your diet, whatever it is, just small daily improvements. That 1% growth a day mindset compounds and turns into some incredible results just in a matter of 6 to 12 months. Like you don't have to be going all in and making crazy big things. It's literally small decisions every day add up and make the biggest decisions down the road, especially in hindsight when you look back at it. So I would just challenge you guys next year, think about how you could improve a little bit in every aspect of your life each and every day. And you're going to see some incredible changes occur, and you're going to look back at it and realize, wow, those little things really did add up. I think you're muted.
It's such a great reminder, it's like greatness is not something that just like is knocks on our door, or we don't just wake up one day having a great life. It's the little things done well, and doing that 1% every single day adds up. That's a lot of
Yeah.
percent for the next 12 months. And so that's a great piece of advice. So everyone at home, check in with Darren. Get in touch. If you found value in this podcast, please share it with someone else. Who do you know who might be interested in this? Who do you know who might be looking for something that this machine can support them with? So please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Breakthrough Moment podcast. Thanks, Darren.
Thanks for having me, guys. Aloha.